This week, I wanted to start work on the council system for my Roguelite City Management game. But before I could start, I found a very special email. A few years back, I had subscribed to the mailing list for an amazing game that I fell in love with, which you can also do right now for my own game, Vuno, which hopefully is coming out late this year. That mailing list that I subscribed to had an announcement, a DLC called Rizia. I knew I needed to play it and immediately pre-ordered it. Then on March 25th, everything changed. I had forgotten about Suzerain and how much I enjoyed it. I'd even forgotten about this review I wrote years ago. This part in particular struck me as interesting. The game made me wish for a true strategy game that sets you up as a political leader, making decisions but with a more robust economic, political, and military systems. This reminded me a lot of Vuno. Of course, the scope is different. Suzerain handles an entire nation, whilst I'm handling a city. But as a management game, thus it's more of a city-state. Matters of diplomacy and military still remain at the forefront. Not to mention that although you start only partially in command, as a member of the council, you do get overruled and not all of your policies go through at first, but over time, you eventually grow in power, and at some point, might even lead the nation. So instead of working on my game, I spent some time playing Rizia instead. I was hooked, and I really couldn't stop. I saw the similarities between my game and this even clearer. I could see the subtle influence that I was previously blind to. I had a more vivid idea of how I wanted my own council to function, how I wanted my policies and decrees to work. But Suzerain was still different. Whilst in my game you are immortal. You're surrounded by mortals. So do I want you to connect with the other characters? Or are they just pawns that you control and get them out of your way? I believe it's the latter, but I do want to hear what you guys think. So write down in the comments below how you think politics should be handled in my game, or even join the Discord and tell me over there what you think. But still, even as pawns, said pawns need to have a reason to oppose you, or even to choose which policies they want enacted, and which policies they just refuse to take a part in. So I went to my trusty pen and paper and started to amend my design. Unlike in the Kingdom of Rizia or the Republic of Swordland, Vuno starts off as a technocratic parliamentary system. Emphasis on starts though. As the game progresses, you do change the politics in some ways or others, but there is no singular head of state. Instead, the Council of Vuno decides on policy and enacts it. The council is made up of specialists, the best of each guild, voted into power by their respective guild members. Guilds in Vuno are everything. They're not just tradesmen or merchants. For example, the councils that you have available at the start that even predate your own membership are the military, financial guild, and the foreign policy guild. All of these have different responsibilities within the government, and you your own have the responsibility to manage technology and magic in order to advance the known society and advance the capabilities of the state. The order and other guilds that will be available is still work in progress, but I do intend to have minor guilds as well that can be elevated to take a seat on the council, and I want you to take part in that, choosing which guilds you want in the council and which guilds you want to be relegated to minor ones. The council members vote on policies and take turns putting up policy for vote. So on your turn, you select a policy that you want enacted, and you have a number of years to start convincing the other members of the council to vote for your policy. This is specified by the current voting period, and you can change it over time. You at the very least need more than half of them to approve of your policy to get it enacted. And how much you need to influence them depends on how much they like or dislike the current policy in question, and the previous interactions you two had together. The more policies that they put up or vote that you voted positively on, the more willing they are to cooperate. And the more policies they put up that you voted against, the less likely they are to cooperate. This encourages you to create pseudo-relationships with some of the members, at least the ones you shared common interests with. And I hope it also pushes the player to relegate certain policies for certain periods of time, depending on who currently is in power and what their beliefs are. In order to allow all of this, I needed the council members themselves to have a personality. In order to do this, I designed traits. They will influence the type of policies they want enacted. For example, a generous council member would vote for extra spending for those in need. An aggressive one would vote for more spending focused on the military. This would influence how they view other races as well. So when Vuno starts getting visitors from other racial backgrounds than gnomes, and it becomes the home to new organizations and corporations, they would, based on their personality, have certain preferences. Since the game has a roguelite element, these would be randomly selected, but I would also prefer them to be pseudo-random, meaning the state of the city should influence the type of personalities that can pop up in the council. For example, if the population of other races has grown recently, without any official immigration policy, then more xenophobic members should take power. However, if, for example, the city turns atheistic, you should find less leaders who are religious, for example. This might be too ambitious, however, so for now, I worked on designing the core systems and hopefully allow me to add to them and make them modular to grow in the future. The design I currently arrived at, I have a management node that's responsible for creating counselors. For now, it would simply have an array of possible traits to pick from, completely at random. Using these traits, I create a counselor, but I only create a counselor when it's needed, so to fill the seats at the start and whenever a current council member dies or retires. I'd also have functions that handle when counselors need to select a policy for an upcoming vote, or calculate their opinion on a policy. For the traits and policies themselves, I again went for making them as Godot resources, so I can set for each trait the effect it has on other policies' choice. I can also make them influence other things in the future, such as opinion modifiers, or even the actual effects within the game. I also hope that traits can have effects based on other traits. So for example, in Crusader Kings, a generous counselor might have a positive relationship with someone else who is also generous. But I then need a way to find out what the player's traits are. I could do this by analyzing the policies you selected in the past, similar to how Suzerain had the political alignment at the end of the game, or I could just have you select the type of character traits you have through a character selection menu at the start. But as it stands, this all falls in the realm of what I like to call as stretch goals. I don't think I want to have a crowdfunding campaign, but I just use the term stretch goals to refer to any things I want to add in the game, but given the amount of time I have to work on it, I most probably won't be able to. But if I somehow have more time to work on the game, I'd love to add it in the future. So again, I'd love to hear your thoughts about the game, either in the comment sections below or on my Discord channel. If the game concept sounds interesting, I'd love to hear what you think and what you would like added to it. Next week, I'll hopefully be showing the council vote system finally completed, at least in its preliminary form. And I'll also be showing you something that I'm very excited, which is the technology system and the technology tree. It's a bit different than other 4X games, at least I haven't seen anything like this. There isn't just one resource for technology. So far I have 5 different resources handling 5 different aspects of the research. There's also a discovery system where you don't know which research options are available to you until you uncover them somehow, based on a few prerequisites. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel to see the newest devlog the moment it releases. Until then, thank you for watching.